Hello and welcome to WiseWrite at Home Unit 2. Today's topic is going to be the 10 elements of a well-written play. We're going to talk about 5 elements in this video and then 5 in the next unit. But before we get started today, you're going to need a couple of things. The first is that opening scene from the tortoise and the hare that we looked at in Unit 1. Then you're going to want to go to the REP website and you're going to download the 2 worksheets, one on character strategies and one on cause and effect. So go ahead and take a moment to do that. You got them? Good. Okay, 10 elements of a well-written play. You might already know some of these elements. You might have discovered them when we did that Venn diagram exercise and you put things in the circle play. The first element we're going to talk about today is the beginning, the middle, and the end. All effective plays have a clear place where we start, in the beginning. This is where we meet our characters and we learn about the moment that they're in. Next, things happen that change the character or change the world in the middle of the play. And by the time we get to the end of the play, the character or the world are different from where we started. So let's take a moment to dig into that middle part, because that's where some really fun and interesting things begin to happen. Have you ever seen a video on YouTube of a long line of dominoes set up together? And then the first one gets pushed and it falls and it knocks over the next one and the next one and the next one until by the end, maybe a picture is revealed or letters in a word, it spells out something. I don't know, maybe you've done that yourself. Well, that is the principle of cause and effect, which is our second element we're going to talk about today. So when things happen in a play, we have a cause that creates a change in the character or the world, the effect. All right, let's look at an example. So let's say that in your play, one character is at home and another character comes and knocks on that character's door. That character has just created a cause. So the effect of that action of knocking on the door is up to you, the playwright. What's going to be the effect? Is the person going to answer the door? Maybe they run away and hide. Maybe they yell, "Nobody's home." Depending on what choice you make in your effect, that will inform what your character on the other side of the door does next. So that inside action, let's say the person decided that they're going to run and hide and not answer the door. What effect might that have on the person standing on the other side? Well, now they have some choices. Those are choices that you as the playwright get to make and will take your story in a particular direction. Let's say you have them knock even louder and harder. That's one kind of story. Maybe they shrug their shoulders and go away. That takes the story in an entirely different direction. And that's why cause and effect is important. Because 1, it gives our character something interesting to do in our play. And 2, it helps the audience sort of understand what is happening, why one character is acting another way, depending on what the cause or the effect of their actions are. So we've looked at beginning, middle, end, and cause and effect. To get a little bit more practice on cause and effect, I'm going to have you pause the video here and fill out your cause and effect worksheet. I'll see you in a few minutes. Welcome back. Okay, let's take a look at our third element, which is character arc. Now, character arc works really well with beginning and middle and end because we always begin with our characters feeling and acting a certain way. Then things happen, as we know, in the middle that changes the character, leads them to do things that maybe they've never done before. Maybe they'll go on a journey so that by the end of the play, the character is in a different place. That journey, whether it's an inside one or they literally go from one place to the next in the course of your play, is what we call the character arc, just like a rainbow. It begins here, goes up to the middle, and then ends in a different place. So how can we think about character arc? Let's think of an example. So think about a movie like Shrek, right? So we start in Shrek by having this green ogre that lives in a swamp. He's very cranky and just wants to be left alone. Well, things happen. Somebody new comes into power and things change and he has to make a choice. So he decides to do something he hasn't done before, which is he's going to leave his swamp and go on this errand to slay a dragon and save a princess. Along the way, he meets all kinds of characters, including Donkey, who becomes one of his good friends. So that by the end of his journey, not only has he gone from his swamp to a strange land, back to the swamp again, a real journey, but he's also taken an inside journey, because by the end of the play, our cranky ogre is still pretty cranky, but now he has also fallen in love, he has a best friend, and he's happily inviting all of the other characters from that land to visit him at his swamp. He's changed. The things that he wanted and felt at the beginning of the play are not the same as what he feels and wants at the end. That is the character arc. So let's look at our fourth element, which is character strategies. So when Shrek was on his journey, he had to try different things to try to get what he wanted. When he started the journey, he just wanted to be left alone. He wanted to do it by himself. But all of a sudden, he had this character, Donkey, that was alongside him. So what are some strategies he used to try to get what he wants, which is to be left alone? Well, he yelled at Donkey. He tried to hide and lose Donkey. He tried to change his direction or maybe quit the entire journey altogether so that Donkey would leave him alone. Every time that a character tries a strategy, it changes the action. That goes back to that cause and effect, right? Character makes a choice and then something happens that if he succeeds in his action, well, then he moves along. If he fails in his action or the strategy doesn't work, then he's got to come up with a different choice. And that changes him on the inside. It lets us know that the character is changing, right? Because they have to change what it is that they're doing. So sometimes a strategy involves using something or someone to help. There are usually 3 helpers when a character is trying to solve a problem to get what he or she wants. So the 3 helpers are a tool, which is an object used by that character. So that could be if the character, let's say, wants to cut down a tree, they need to use an axe like a tool, or they want to cross a river, so they have to make a raft. Our second helper tool is an ally, which is a person, animal, talking plant, or object that can be a friend and a supporter, like Donkey and Shrek. The third is a mentor, and that's a person, animal, talking plant, or object that is a teacher and can help our character learn something new or something that will help them along the way. So for instance, a wizard that could teach you a spell to help you get what it is that you want. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to tell the difference between the 3 helpers, so we're going to do a little quiz here. So let's think about a flashlight. If our character uses the flashlight to see in the dark, are they using that helper as a tool, an ally, or a mentor? Tool, exactly. That tool is helping this person solve the problem of the dark. Okay, in our second example, if our character finds a talking flashlight that keeps him company so that he won't be scared of the dark, is that a tool, ally, or mentor? An ally, of course, a friend that helps them along the way. In our third situation, if we have a character that meets a flashlight in the forest, and this flashlight teaches our character how to use the light from the moon to light their way, the flashlight is a mentor because it taught our character a way to potentially solve their problem. Okay, now we're going to take a moment and I'm going to let you look through character strategies on your own with the worksheet that you downloaded from the website. I'll see you back in a minute. Okay, welcome back. So our 5th and our final element that we're going to talk about today is character voice. Each character has their own distinct way of talking. And that distinct voice is important because it tells us what that character is thinking and feeling. It gives us some information about the character that nothing else can. For instance, let's look at some qualities of voices. Speed is one quality. So if we think about a mouse might talk really, really fast, while a sloth may talk slowly. There, we use speed to tell us something about our characters. Tone is another quality. An angry character might talk very, very loudly, whereas a shy character might talk softly. Accent is another quality of character voice. If the character comes from a different part of the world or from another planet, they're going to have a different quality of their voice using a different accent. Vocabulary is our final quality. So vocabulary is the words that a particular character uses. So a character who is older is going to use different slang and different terms than someone who's very young. A wise owl might use different words than a silly monkey. An earthling might use words that are different from an alien. So you can use those distinct character voices to help your audience better understand your characters. We know this from that example in the scene from the tortoise and the hare that we talked about the other day. So take a moment to look at that scene again and read what each character says out loud, listening for that character voice. And when you're done, come back here and we'll talk about what you found. Hi. Okay, so let's talk about those characters from the tortoise and the hare. What can you identify about Wally's voice? Does he talk fast or does he talk slow? When I listen to Wally the bear, I kind of hear his voice slower than the others because he uses words like something, running, morning. It's kind of sing-songy, right? Like he's taking his time when he tells a story. Does that fit with your idea of a bear? Well, I think it's a very specific kind of bear, right? I don't associate that kind of slow, sing-songy talk maybe with a grizzly bear. I might think of their tone as being angrier or more intense. This is more sort of like a Babaloo from Jungle Book, if you know that movie or story, right? So our Wally is a sort of big, lunky, kind of takes his time kind bear. His voice matches up and tells us a lot about his character. So what about Shelley? What did you identify in her voice? What did that sound like when you read it out loud? What I noticed right away is her vocabulary. She tends to speak in really short sentences. I guess, I saw, okay. And that makes me wonder, is she shy? Not used to being maybe asked her opinion? Not used to people listening to her? Well, that would fit with my idea of a turtle. What about for you? And before we meet next time, I want you to go back to that scene from the tortoise and the hare and look at the other characters. Look at the speed with which they talk, the tone, their accent if they have one, what kind of words they choose, their vocabulary, and see if you can make some conclusions about those particular characters. Thanks for tuning in today. I'll see you next time, and we will talk about the next 5 elements of what make for a well-written play. Until then, keep writing. See you soon.